pulled out. It came on Friday in studio. Assemblyman Brindisi, Senator Joe Griffo, and County Executive Anthony Picente. We could ask questions all morning long, but the beauty of radio is we're a phone call away from your questions and comments. Let's start with Mitch, who's been waiting for about 40 minutes now. Mitch, you're on the radio with the three of these guys, Brindisi, Griffo, and Picente. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for taking my call. It's been a very interesting discussion. I have a question, but I'd just like to get some quick background as to where the question is coming from.
All right. Okay.
I was involved with a few projects down in Herkimer County. One, the Western Lake Industrial Park. The other one, the Griffo building in Ilion. The Western Lake Industrial Park is a success story. 70 acres were bought from the Ferguson brothers. And I was also a loan officer at the Bank of Oneida National. We loaned the money for the county to buy the property.
All right.
At that point in time, the Ball Corporation, who manufactures beer cans for all the major breweries in the United States, came to us and said, "We got your proposal. You're one of two finalists. It's you in Saratoga Springs. We're going to go to one or the other of you because we want to be in the Northeast."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." And they said, "You know why you're a finalist?" And I said, so I went through the usual stuff. Infrastructure, low tax to skilled labor force. And they said, "You're missing something." And I go, "And that is functional rail siding. We do not ship by tractor-trailer. We ship by rail."
All right.
Now, we didn't get it. They went to Saratoga, but as a result of that and getting the word out, working with local companies, Northern Safety and Granny's Kitchens went in there, and the park's been a success.
Got it.
Okay?
So with
now,
that
I was
said,
also involved in trying to do the Griffo building in Ilion. That fell apart. I was working with Joe Carucci, God rest his soul.
got it.
And what happened there, the economy went to hell. And we couldn't get the Village of Ilion to get brownfield money to clean up the contamination, because if that wasn't done, then they couldn't sell the property to us.
So based on all of that, Mitch, what's your question?
Okay, here's the question. Sometimes I think people think that we could be like a Silicon Valley or Massachusetts and get high-tech companies that are from another country or whatever. Are we focused enough on getting old traditional companies that are still successful, like Ball Corporation, like Granny Kitchens, like Northern Safety? Do we try to focus on them as much as we do the high-tech people?
Let's let who wants to pick up that one?
I can. I'll take the shot at it. Yeah.
Are we worthy of a
absolutely.
high-tech company from out of the country?
Are we worthy?
Are we worthy? Is it viable?
We definitely are. I mean, I think when you look at what this area has done over the years, and Rome Lab has been, the anchor for a number of years at Griffiths, and has built around it, cybersecurity network, and as well as high tech jobs and growth and all those pieces, as well as the colleges that are here and the colleges that are in the entire Central New York region. So we are worthy of it. I don't think we have put. The question is, are we trying to put all our eggs in one basket of nanotechnology? And I don't think that's the case at all, because I think everything that we've been doing over the last few years, I mean, we look at UAS systems at Griffiths, we look at the companies that have been investing and continue to invest in. There's a strong financial sector here. There's strong manufacturing still in place. There are still companies that are growing. So I don't think at all that we're ignoring any one sector over another. It's just that technology has, and this site has been the focal point for a number of years, just for that purpose.
Okay. I have an open line, 736-0186. Anybody else want to touch that? Did you, Joe? You look like you wanted to.
No, the county executive's right. I mean, I think if you look at all the efforts here, we talked about this earlier, we learned this from relying on one segment of industry over time. So it's got to be diversification. You have to pay attention to existing, try to recruit new, retain what you have, look at all different segments. The Griffiths Business Park, I think, is a perfect illustration of that. You have manufacturing, you have service, you have military, you have a whole high tech.
Yeah.
So you have that's what we're trying to accomplish. And in this particular area, again, what I had said earlier is we're looking for emerging opportunities in some type of field. And the two that we've identified, like healthcare would be one, but that's being done in places like Buffalo at Roswell, things of that nature.
Right.
So we looked at cybersecurity, because you have to defend the homeland. You have to do the UAS, like the unmanned.
Yep.
And we looked at nano, because people are using phones. Automobiles need those chips. So we thought there are emerging opportunities, and let's take advantage of that, because we could really grow our economy that way, as well as pay attention to everything else.
There's two other sectors that I think think sometimes we forget. I mean, tourism is still huge here.
Right,
and it still creates a great industry and a great revenue source for business and for government as well, as well as agriculture. I mean, let's talk about what we've been doing in the agricultural sector in terms of markets and in terms of farm to table and all the different things that are happening there. So I think we're very diverse in that regard.
All right.
And just, at one point, too, I don't think anyone thought of Albany or the capital region as some high-tech industry leader 20 years ago.
It's exploded.
It's exploded. No one thought of Malta as a community that you're going to have a major manufacturer of semiconductors.
Yeah.
So I think one of the issues and probably one of the problems on the state level is, even dating back to the Global Foundries sighting, it was always Albany and Utica as the two areas where nanotechnology was being focused on. I think probably one of the mistakes on the state level was, well, now we're going to go to Syracuse, and we're going to put SUNY Poly in Rochester, and we're going to put SUNY Poly in Dunkirk and Buffalo.
And how did all this technology fit into making movies in Syracuse?
It doesn't fit in. And I think that's probably a reason why, that's probably part of the problem of why SUNY Poly failed here. If they were just focusing on their core regions, the subsidiaries, Utica and Albany, the two areas where Nano actually had
the triangle.
In the triangle, the triangle. That was always the areas that the state was focusing on, and then somehow over the last 2-3 years, it started spreading all over the state because that's the model that the governor chose.
Quickly, I want to take another question.
One more quick thing that he said, because I think it's important to listen to what they're both saying right now. It's the subsidiaries, the economic construct that was put under SUNY Poly. It's not the academic institution, because SUNY Poly is strong and will continue to grow and be enhanced. These are these economic activities that were put under them that were not a good fit.
Larry in Whitesboro, go ahead. You're on the radio.
Hey, Bill, two quick things. First of all, when is the governor going to come out? Is anybody pressing him to make a statement? These guys can only do so much. It falls on the governor. And the other thing is, I heard the county executive say somewhere that, he couldn't really say anything because they're on the trading. I don't know if they're on the stock markets. If anything slips, it could affect trading and how people do stuff.
The fact that it was
it's publicly traded. It's a publicly traded company.
My question earlier was not about why didn't you tell us more. It was how do we. It's just a fact of life that you couldn't, and now there are people out there saying, "Well, you didn't tell us." And
sometimes even when you're not publicly traded, you're still under confidentiality until such a time that
and ultimately
things break apart.
You were still holding to the hope that you could put something together,
because it was still hard. I think all of us, and I don't know how much we have said this, but I think all of us are still amazed that a company would walk away from $600 million.
Yeah. All right,
and to build a facility.
To his point too, the governor should say something.
Yeah.
He's not publicly said anything.
He's in your party. You have at times we believe you have the ear of the governor, and are you going to?
We have the ear, whether it's listening.
Whether he's listening, okay. All right.
Is yet to be.
7360186. Robert in Marcy, go ahead.
Yeah, I basically just have a comment. I mean, these guys can't even figure out how to lower the sales tax in Oneida County. All this Indian money coming, they got more excuses not to lower it. It's no wonder that this fell apart.
All right, you want to comment to that?
No, I'm not sure how sales tax relates to AMS. But,
well, two things. One, that's only Anthony Picente, I think, could answer that because he's currently the county executive.
Right.
Do you want to give the explanation again as to how much you have to raise in property taxes
to
take that sales tax piece away?
We make this argument constantly. I've been consistent. You can't say I've waffled on that in any way, shape, or form. It can be lowered. It's one of those things that we've chosen to keep our property taxes low, and we have a higher sales
AMS
tax
is not
because
the reason they're coming has nothing
to do with sales
tax,
or
right?
property taxes. No. I don't think either one of those had any impact. They knew what it was when they were looking at us. And
here's Court in Rome. You're on the radio.
Hey, Bill. This is for anybody, Tony or whoever. Donald Trump, when he was on a campaign trail, he made a stop, in Griffo. Was real receptive, and he mentioned, the Rome area many times during the campaign. I'm just wondering, has anybody thought maybe to reach out to him?
I was going to tweet him this morning.
Tweet him? Yeah. Actually, I have several friends who had worked on the Trump campaign, and I got a lot of texts and emails over the weekend saying, "Hey, you got to reach out to Trump." Yeah. So
well, would that not be ironic if all of a sudden Donald Trump came in and saved the day here?
I think if it was something, I think it still goes back to, what can be saved. You have a company that made a decision that has the money on the table, so it's not that.
I was just saying,
I think
it can't be saved.
It's kind of something that
They have the money on the table, but there was no point where they were asking for more money to accommodate for the delay.
I really can't say that. I mean, that they were. I mean, in that regard, I think it was just. I think the delay was what had been an impact,
Okay.
and even throwing more money. Even a company knows that. Now, whether they were looking at a different line to fill in, but I don't know if that would have. I don't know if that
I'm sorry.
fixes it either.
When you say 3 weeks ago and you tried to save it, you reached out to the state. What was your effort to save it? I guess what could have been fixed to actually make a save here?
Well, I think it was trying to look at because they had missed the deadline in their market on what they were going to produce here.
Mm-hmm.
So the question was, okay, is the audible? They go in a different direction with maybe a different type of fab with a different model, a different product line that perhaps is smaller. Is less jobs, not the 1,000 or 1,100 or whatever the number was bantered around.
Yep.
Maybe it's smaller. Maybe it's something different. So the save is trying to look at, okay, you couldn't do X.
Right.
Can you do Y?
Okay.
And how can we help you get to that? It's where do we go?
And every company is going to be looking for as much as they can get. That's why I tell you we're
Sure, I get
uncomfortable
that.
with this dynamic of this corporate kind of economic assistance, but it's going on everywhere, so you need to compete. So there's never going to be a company that's going to turn
Right.
something down. And then on the president-elect, I think the pieces are in place here for the future, and that's what we're talking about working there. That's where he could have a role as we begin, as he takes office, and then we work with his administration because he will recognize the importance of trying to revitalize this economy upstate, and that's going to be important.
Right.
And the other thing that we're going to have to do is make sure that the governor doesn't become his chief critic because he's going to try to position himself, the governor, for his own ambition, and that's where we need to be sensitive, obviously, to
What
our area.
ambition could
but
this
also-
governor have if he lets this happen? I mean, this is crumbling before his eyes. What ambition is left? I mean, with
Marcy
the
Town
corruption,
Supervisor.
I think many of us have said many times, publicly and privately, that upstate New York is the Rust Belt, and it looks like
Yes.
Ohio, it looks like Michigan, it
you
looks
don't
like
fix
Wisconsin.
upstate New York. You have
It
no
would be a
chance.
perfect for any governor to be on their resume if you want to run nationally to say
Yeah.
that you fixed places like Utica and Buffalo and Rochester and all the
agree.
other places. Even Syracuse, you can
Yeah.
you can translate that nationally.
No
and
doubt
people
about it,
will
which
respond
is-
to that message.
I
But
had this conversation yesterday with somebody. I said, I still believe in this because there's no way Cuomo can let this blow up. He can't. And to expect to have any career beyond this current term, in my opinion.
Look, the path always, at least generally to the White House, because it goes back to the
Right.
92 and even prior to that, it's the economy.
Right.
And the economy is what drives, and if you could, what drives that power and that strength, and if you can show that you've accomplished that and tackled it,
Right.
especially as Anthony said, in looking at a Rust Belt type area,
that's been ignored,
then
upstate New York.
that's all you got to do.
Yeah. All right. Talking with Anthony Brindisi, Anthony Picente, Senator Joe Griffo. Brian, you'll be the last question. Brian, you're on in Utica.
Yeah, hey, I've been listening to you folks, and I'm listening, and do I understand correctly that the president of the college was also owner or part of the Fort Schuyler business?
He was on the board, right?
He's on
the
the
president
board,
of the
but
board,
he's also
yeah.
the president? Doesn't that seem to be a bit of a conflict of interest?
Well, let's talk about that.
was it a conflict of interest? He was the president of the college, serving on the Fort Schuyler board.
Right.
Look, I think the whole, as we look back here, the whole construct that they had set up was probably not the right way to go. The right way to go would be to have it in the hands of the economic development experts in the first place.
And that's been changed since.
And that's been changed.
Yeah.
And
all right, Brian.
should have been changed
I
sooner.
think that answers that
Yeah,
question.
it was
so-
more of a mechanism, but
Yeah.
clearly it wasn't the right one.
All right, so let's wrap this up. Rob, in the middle of all of this, messaged in and said, "It's not about. It's about the way we found out." And I do understand that there comes a certain point where you can't go public and you're trying to hang on. Can you one more time just address Rob's question?
the matter
Which
of
is
which it
the
came
matter
public?
of which we found out based on a story that leaked on an overseas newspaper.
If it
a
wasn't-
Times
I guess
Union.
Friday's story, how would
Let's
we
go
have
back
found out?
then 3 weeks or whatever, and had that just been released at that point. wouldn't the question have been, did you try anything else?
Right, right.
So I guess we tried, and we made another run, which I think is most important, and I think that's the answer. So the answer is, should we have said it's done at that point, and then it would have been, I mean,
Right.
and then what would that have accomplished in terms of the community and in terms of the business? And in terms of the business itself,
Yep.
and in terms of AMS looking and saying, "Well, we said we're done," and those guys said goodbye, and everybody's
Right.
done. I think we owed it.
Yeah.
I think we did our job there
Right.
in terms of saying, let's try and what can we fix here,
Mm-hmm.
and what would that have accomplished? And at the end of the day, it's look, it's not a good situation. We see that, but we didn't just give it up on the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
I guess.
And it was going to, I think everyone realizes it was going to come out. No one was going to hide this for another 6 months, a year. It was coming out last week or this week, one way or the other. We were trying to coordinate a little bit better with the company to have it come out. But, you can't always control those things, and it came out the way it came out on Friday. But this week, I would imagine it would have come out from us anyways.
Listen, I'm somebody that's taken my punches over the years, and I've been fired just a few times. I have some failures under my belt, and somehow I just pick myself back up and plow forward.
You have to.
You guys have a week and a half, 2 weeks till the new year. You going to come back harder? You got to come back stronger. You got to come back with. Can you be
5,000 jobs?
Look, I don't think anything. I think the point is, and I've said this time and time again. Look, when things happen like this, the blame gets. If there is blame, it gets pointed to. But our job is to fix the problem, and we've been doing that. And I think we're still. I'm still proud of what's been accomplished here over the last 10 years. And then some, and especially the last 3 or 4, there's growth that took place without this, as we've said, and there's more growth, and we're in a great position now, and I think we will be, we're better for it, and we'll be better for it, and we'll move forward, and we'll keep moving forward, and we need the community to do the same.
I apologize for comparing you to my career, but
You're like the Energizer Bunny.
It was a little unfair.
It was unfair. You're right. You're absolutely right. I probably asked for it, to be honest. All right, 15 seconds. Anybody want to close with anything?
Look, we just need to be working together and working hard. We'll continue to do that and looking forward.
All right, be tough on that governor.
That's what has to happen. He's made the promises. So.
All right. Gentlemen, not the conversation we wanted to have, but we'll see each of you on Friday in a more positive light.
We'll give you a chance to get back in bed. I promise.
Yeah, thank you. We got to go. WIBX Utica Rome. News top of the hour, then Glenn Beck, and we'll be back here to talk more about all of this come tomorrow.